Alright, so new review for you guys today. We're talking about part 1 of Netflix's Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is a series I was highly anticipating as a big fan of He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. This is a follow-up to that original series. We're actually getting quite a lot of He-Man related content over on Netflix in the upcoming future. We actually have another He-Man show besides this, and we also have a movie coming out eventually after they figure out who's going to play He-Man. And another thing that really piqued my interest about Revelation is that the showrunner is actually Kevin Smith, who I'm a huge fan of as a big nerd myself. In this series, Eternia is fractured after a battle between He-Man and Skeletor that causes the Guardians of Grayskull to scatter, so it's up to Teela and others to reunite the broken band of heroes in a race against time so they can restore Eternia and prevent the end of the universe. As I said before, this is only part 1 of Masters of the Universe Revelation. We are going to get a part 2 with the other 5 episodes at a later date, but I do think that part 1 has a lot of stuff going for it. For starters, the animation itself. Powerhouse Animation always does fantastic work, and that's no different here. I really love the way that they actually make the animation pop in this series. They have such a great animation style that I really think suits Masters of the Universe, and we have these amazing action sequences with each and every character using all their amazing abilities. And with this being a follow-up to that original He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, I think they did a good job translating those characters and updating them a little bit. Also, the music of the show, done by Bear McCreary, he's one of my favorite composers. It does feel very much like He-Man, the Masters of the Universe. I think he absolutely nailed the tone, especially in the action sequences. I think those really are enhanced by his amazing music. Also, this voice cast is amazing. You probably have seen the voice cast by now. Lena Headey, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Justin Long, Tony Todd. Mark Hamill is playing Skeletor in this. He may have been my favorite among all the different cast members. He slides in so perfectly in portraying Skeletor in this, so it was a big highlight for me. He does sound a bit like the Joker in this, but I do think he does a great job filling in for Alan Oppenheimer, who is actually in this show. He is the voice of Mossman. So at least he's still involved even if he's not going to voice Skeletor. It is tough to gauge the overall story of Masters of the Universe Revelation because we only have half of it to talk about, but I think as far as the adventure goes, part 1 is a fairly enjoyable adventure. We do take a little bit of time to actually get on that said adventure in the show, but once we get on that adventure, there are some very exciting twists and turns along the way, some of which do work better than others, but there is some fun in seeing all these heroes and villains come together, practically because they have to for the sake of the universe, but it made for some very fun interactions amongst these characters, and I like that, seeing the different perspectives of all these various different characters that we kind of sometimes don't see all that often in the original series. I think my personal favorite interactions among all these different characters are actually the conversations between Orko and Evil Lynn. I think they have some of the best moments. We do have to address the big elephant in the room, the thing that's kind of caused the controversy about this show, and it's the involvement of He-Man in the show. I know that's going to be the big thing that probably people are going to be asking about in the comment section down below, so I definitely have to address it. Without delving into spoiler territory, he is still integral to the plot of the show, but he is of course not the main character. The main character is Teela. Before you get too upset about that though, I will say even despite him not being the main focus of the show, he does practically appear in some shape or form in every single episode, so he is still important to the show. So it isn't like a sort of bait and switch kind of situation where you just see him for a little bit and then he's gone for the rest of the series. I will say I'm not a big fan of the way that they're promoting the series where it's like very He-Man centric when he isn't the main character, but I wouldn't push blame on the actual people behind the show itself. I mean, that's more of like a Netflix thing. Teela being the main character of this show and leading this group of heroes and villains does have its ups and downs throughout the series. I do give her character a bit more depth now. Some of the things she has to overcome throughout the episodes, like her fear of inadequacy, being in He-Man's shadow. They focused on stuff like that when it comes to her character. I was very invested in that. One of the things that was kind of cringy though is just how long they linger on this grudge that she has, as basically throughout every single episode of the series we do hear about her grudge that she holds when it comes to Adam, because Adam never told her that he was He-Man, and she's just really never let that go, and that's just like a very big story point that just kind of got old after a while because they didn't really explore it all that much. The writing as a whole is very up and down because there are other plot threads that I do enjoy, like her relationship with Man-at-Arms. It just feels like at some points that they just don't have a lot of time to explore things because the show is very short, and we do waste a lot of time, especially in the early on episodes. Like the main adventure that we go on doesn't really start until episode 3, and there's only 5 episodes. I will say though, we do have a very interesting finale, a cliffhanger for episode 5. I'm not going to go into it of course because it is spoiler heavy, but it's a very fun twist, and I think that it's going to be really exciting to delve into that more in part 2 whenever that does come out because it is such a cool idea. But yeah, overall I think that Masters of the Universe Revelation is a solid attempt at a follow-up of the original He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I do think it does have some faults to it, but it is still a solid attempt. I think you're going to enjoy it if you're a fan of the Masters of the Universe world. I know it is a really big turnoff to fans of the series that He-Man is not the main focal point of the show, but I do think it is worth giving a shot, and you know, if you don't like it, you don't like it, you know, you don't watch part 2, it's not a huge deal. There's still a lot of other He-Man content coming. Like I said, there's another series that's coming out that is probably very He-Man centric. Now that you've heard my thoughts on Masters of the Universe Revelation, make sure you share your thoughts down below. It hits Netflix July 23rd, so not too long from now. Did you like the show? Are you looking forward to the show? If you get a chance to check out the series, though, I will be curious. Make sure you share your thoughts down below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Especially if you're a fan of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, because I think that's going to be really interesting to see see how fans react to this series. You know, it's a lot of turmoil right now. I've seen a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff just because He-Man's not the main character. So I will be curious because that's just a very big talking point. But thank you so much for checking out my review for the series, though. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like it, the subscribe button. We'll keep movie reactions, unboxings, and more on the channel. But the next time, I'll see you guys later.